opponents you could possibly have. Jody, Fleisch and Jonny Storm have fought up and down this country, and usually the results are nothing short of sensational.
Well, they know each other so well indeed. They couldn't be covered. They're not, I will not have that person on them. They're just good friends. You heard it here right now.
Jonny Storm always has a party with the fans. Will he be celebrating at the end of this? Will his TWA title belt still be wrapped around his waist?
And looking at the state of that title, Dean, I'd want to lose it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger.
And here comes the international high flyer, Jody Fleisch.
Bouncing his way to the ring. The great acclaim from these fans. He's one man for whom the term big in Japan isn't an insult.
Absolutely. One of the stars of mixed velocity pro wrestling. As is Crispy Daniels, who wrestles as Curry Man. Of course, he'll be here in the FWA this Friday in Portsmouth. That's front.
You might remember Jody Fleisch as Dako-chan. He was the one Englishman in the Michinoku Pro Master League in 1999 who A, wasn't fat and B, didn't get his head kicked in by the great
Sasuke, yes. Jonny Storm's favourite song being sung by his adoring fans.
The fans reminding him of his past crimes when he stood in that ring and sang it to them. It was tantamount to child abuse for all the children in the crowd, but the adults loved it because they've got low enjoyment threshold.
While he was singing a poor song, he was singing a poor song recorded by a German. Can you get any more heinous than that?
Don't get me started on the Germans.
So here we go, they're about to, I was going to say they're about to lock up, but Jody Fleisch having none of that. Just showing his wares to Jonny Storm. He's giving out a quick warning there.
Jody showing that not only is he a flippy floppy, he's also a kicky.
You know all the Japanese terms, don't you, Mark?
I do, yes. I studied extensively in the Orient, Leighton Orient.
I was going to say, I often saw you involved in those pitch invasions in Brisbane Road.
Jody getting the crowd into this one, trying to make it seem like Jonny Storm is playing away from home.
Is that something he does often? I don't know that much about him.
If you heard the stories the boys in the locker room tell, it'd turn your hair white. Albert Einstein, for instance, he had a good thick crop of black hair till he heard some of those stories.
Well, both men just trying to get the advantage, really. Of course, that's the thing, everyone knows these guys for their high flying, but you got to ground your man with a bit of mat work first. You've got to get them into that position where you can fly onto them and know that they're going to be there when you land, because otherwise you can have a pretty messy landing.
Well, I think these two are two of the best mat workers we've got in the business. Certainly not up there with Doug Williams, but they can hold their own in a match contest.
Or Justin Richards. Don't sell my man short.
Justin Richards, who didn't he used to be the FWA champion?
Then he lost his way and he's now under the guidance of the Twisted Genius. But these two men, look at them, they know each other so well, they're countering each other's moves. And the pace of this one is frenetic.
ECW style nip up at the beginning of the match. The mat work over with, the match can start proper because they felt each other out. They're ready to begin.
The crowd lapping this one up already. What are they going to be like when they start flying around, Mark Brees are doing, they're now ready.
I've only got to look at Jody Fleisch though, and one thing comes to mind: silver and gold should never mix in fashion, Dean. What do you think?
Well, silver and gold, not something British athletes are used to. They're usually quite content with bronze, so not really something I can comment on.
Jonny Storm seems quite content with lime green tonight.
Yes, it's quite a distasteful colour. I believe that was the colour he was wearing when he battered 7 bells out of me with a steel chair.
I believe you have a pinfall victory over Jonny Storm, don't you, Dean?
A pinfall victory over Johnny Storm. Yes, I do believe I do.
Way back in the dark days when you're working for the Kent promotion.
The Kent promotion. We dare not speak its name.
Beautiful sequence of moves with ending with Jody Fleisch grounding Johnny Storm with an armbar. There we go.
My thanks to Chris Leaney for just cleaning up my glasses because they're covered in sweat from the match I was just involved in.
Face it, Dean, a climb up the stairs is a match for you.
That's
when
true.
It comes to being covered in sweat.
I'm just a big sweaty man. And that will really take your shoulder out of its socket in a heartbeat, that will. Johnny Storm had to ride with that or be taking the ride to casualty.
Jody staying focused on that arm, really putting the pressure on. Of course, Jody's had problems with his own arm in the recent past.
In this very arena, I believe.
He did, he dislocated it right in front of my very eyes. I was almost sick. If I could afford to have lost my next day, I would have done. However, I'm cheap. It was the last few pennies out of my pocket, so I kept it down out of good financial sense more than anything else.
I believe you were sat next to Ross Hutchinson as well. That'd be enough to make me sick at the short start.
It was a fortunate event because at that moment Ross Hutchinson left my side, making me the man I am today and making it possible for me and Dean to be together here tonight.
That's right, my live friend. We are the Frontier announcing FAT. And what a chop! There's nothing I like better than a chop on a Sunday night, and Johnny Storm just delivered.
Pork chop, beef chop, all manner of chops.
It doesn't matter.
Beautiful roll through. And back to that arm. Jody Fleisch concentrating, working that body part.
The old Iron Man, the Anderson family tactics. You pick a body part, you work on it. Not only does it hurt your opponent, mentally it will frustrate them as well. Both of these kind of butted heads in the old school recently, Dean. Do you think either of them would be a welcome addition in your old school faction? Well, you know, what these two men stand for isn't what the old school stands for. You know, we're not about flying through the air, fancy flips and so on. We're about good, proper wrestling. You're not about entertaining the fans? We entertain the fans in our own way, and an arm breaker by Jody Fleisch. Again, back to that arm, mixing a bit of flying up with it as well. You've got it in that hammerlock position in the back. That can be almost deadly. A lot of people seem to use that as a rest hold these days. Let me tell you, when that pressure is cranked up on the elbow, it can really, really hurt. This is a page out of your old school book, isn't it, Dean? It's good old-fashioned storytelling. Jody Fleisch really working on that arm, really putting the pain to Johnny Storm, telling a story every move. Absolutely, and of course Jody Fleisch the challenger, so he's doing what the challenger should do. He's taking it to Johnny Storm, the champion. And you've got to say at this stage of the match, Johnny Storm is definitely on the back foot. But up he goes to the ropes. What's this? No, in hard trick. He gets out of that armbar. I think Jody might have been going for a super kick, but Johnny caught him and he... Oh! What do you call that? A guillotine into a German suplex. And Jody Fleisch is in trouble on the floor. And it just goes to show, Dean, that even though fatigue has played some part in some of the moves perhaps not being so crisp. And Storm's going to fly. Devastating. Oh! Sweet baby Jesus! Johnny Storm. He's taken Jody Fleisch down to the ground, and look, there are no mats out there, Dean. No pretty blue mats, just an unforgiving wooden floor mat, Priest. And it's going to take its toll on both these guys. This is why they call them high-risk maneuvers. But the floor, if you look at it, seems to be painted out in some kind of basketball form. In some kind of basketball. In some kind of basketball form. And it's sure it was Jody Fleisch bounced off and Johnny Storm who scored the slam dunk. And he's going to fly again, but no. Here comes Jody Fleisch with the baseball slide.
Baseball, basketball, wrestling, they're masters of all sport.
He's going for the three-pointer, Mark Priest. There he goes, my goodness me. A famous move he must have picked up from his tour of Japan. And these fans are lapping it up here at Portchester.
These fans resorting to using cuss words. That's how much they feel for that move.
Jody popular, but where's Jonny? He's just recovering. Good old Greco-Roman punch to the face.
And now a Greco-Roman swing into the barriers, sending
Jody's over.
the Greco-Roman crowd.
Well, those barriers are meant to keep the fans out, but it's let the wrestlers in.
I think they are supposed to keep the wrestlers in, and they certainly haven't done their job here tonight. And not for the first time. Johnny Storm taking it out to the wider arena floor.
But if I was Johnny Storm, I wouldn't let Jody Fleisch near any walls, and that's going to really hurt the leg. Yeah. I think Fortune's smiling on him there, because let's face it, if you can't walk, you can't fly.
He could have torn a muscle there, Dean. That leg was hyperextended as he was driven down onto it.
And that's not going to help things at all. Smart move by Johnny Storm, chopping away at Jody Fleisch.
Something else.
And he's hanging there.
I do believe, Dean, that tonight, even though this is an FWA show, this match is for the TWA title, the welterweight title, and the TWA promoter is in attendance.
Scott Conway is here, is he?
He is here. He's keeping an eye on his champion.
And why not? But yeah, that's why we are the Frontier Wrestling Alliance. We work with others to make this country better. And here comes Jody, seems to be on a second wind here. Oh, but Johnny knew what was coming. And just at 2 15/16, if you will, Jody Fleisch manages to kick out, but that was something else from Johnny Storm.
Well, Jody called for the finish, and it was very nearly the finish of him as Johnny countered that move with a vicious powerbomb.
And now Johnny telling us that this is it. What is it?
Superb tornado DDT by Jody Fleisch out of that power.
And then a magistral 1, 2, but no, and we nearly had a new TWA welterweight champion. And again, Mark Priest, you can see these two people know each other so well. They've wrestled up and down the country, 5-star matches everywhere they go, and this one's no different.
Well, the one thing you can say about these two is the wealth of knowledge of each other. But one thing I have no knowledge about, Dean, is how much is a welter?
Well, that's a very good question.
What does a welter weigh?
It's right up there with how much a bantam weighs. Or indeed, a cruiser.
Well, I know what a cruiser weighs. It's a small ship, and a bantam is a small head. But a welter, what is that? Is that Flash Barker after he's hit you?
Well, that's just a plain old welt. Here comes Jody. And a caught on the shoulders, and a double reversal.
Almost a new champion again. The fans are lapping this up.
Reversal after reversal, counter after counter. These two men know each other well. They've fought before, they've tagged up before.
I'll tell you something, Dean. I've seen them fight before. I've seen them tag up before. But this is different. Because tonight, this is FWA action. This is Jody Fleisch and Johnny Storm at their best.
And Johnny just gets his foot on the ropes. And a good move too, because that's really knocked the wind out of him. I don't think he had the strength to kick out. He saved his title with his foot there.
Usually he puts his foot in it. This time he put his foot on it and remains the champion.
Absolutely, Mark.
Excellent series of reversals, as we've said so many times before. Oh, it's the Super Rewind Hurricane Runner.
And that's it, it is all over.
Johnny Storm is still the champion.
And another great match from Storm and Fleisch.
I'll tell you something, we may not know how much a welter weighs, but tonight I know that welter weight is worth its weight right in goal.
Absolutely. And let's not forget Jody, wherever he may be.
Everybody get up indeed. Get to your feet. Salute the champion, but also salute the challenger. Jody Fleisch, played his part. Johnny Storm, his part. This was a classic. Keep it. Store it in the archives. This is one for the ages.
And there we go, he's helping the man up. A sign of respect between these two. You know, when they beat the hell out of each other, they beat 7,000 of each other. You develop a respect for your opponent.
I'll tell you something, OG. I'm quite happy that Jonny retained the title because he promised to give that belt to me later. The whole night trousers up.
Well, the last thing I want to see, Mark Priest, is your fat, hairy backside. So let me please enforce that decision by Jonny Storm.
And on that note, Dean, I'll say it's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from me. This has been the Frontier Wrestling Alliance. I'm Dean Ayers. That's Mark Priest. We are the Frontier Announcing.